Welcome back to Community Connection. I'm Iowa City Mayor Bruce Teague. Iowa City and its residents pride themselves on being climate conscious, and a new program is helping people grow towards our city climate action goals. As part of the City Climate Action Plan, we are constantly looking for ways to encourage residents to improve our environment. Here to discuss the new Root for Trees program is Assistant City Manager Ashley Monroe and Recreation Superintendent Brad Barker. Thanks for joining me, you two. So first off, I love the name Root for Trees. Who doesn't love a good pun? Can you explain how the program works?
Yeah, so the program was conceptualized as a way to get our residents planting more trees. So the city has a public tree planting program. Each year we plant trees annually, and this was an expansion on that program by incentivizing the, like I said, private tree planting. So the program works like this. A simple application is completed requesting a tree, and then we take that simple application, just a couple of pieces of information, name, the address where it will be planted, and any other details that might be needed to share with the resident so that they're aware of where the tree should be planted. Typically, it should be on their property. If someone wants to plant a tree in a right-of-way, they are able to do so. But before they plant it and get that voucher for a tree, they need to apply for a no-fee permit with the city to do that. We can answer any questions about that if you have it. So the tree program, you fill out the application, you get a voucher from the city of Iowa City, and that voucher is good for 50% of a retail price of a tree at 2 of our Iowa City nurseries. So currently we're running the program with Earl May Garden Center and Iowa City Landscaping and Garden Center. And there's also an opportunity for people to get a slight further discount for income eligible households. So the residents who receive the vouchers visit the nursery, you select any tree that you want within their stock, and you work with them about care and how to plant a tree, arrange for a purchase, and take it home, you plant it, and you're all set. So that's kind of the basics.
Well, I mean, I think the process is going to take a little bit for people to understand it, but you did mention that it's a simple application, correct?
Yes.
I wonder if, Brad, if you can tell us where people can go on to find the application.
So people can go to the Iowa City webpage, icgov.org, and we have the Root for Trees application that's on that website. And it's a pretty simple application. People can fill that out. It's got just a few different questions for you. Just verifying that, one, you are an Iowa City resident and that you have an interest in a tree within the community. You have a question that asks whether or not you would like to be considered for income eligible option, which would reduce the tree costs even further. And then where you're actually planning on planting the tree as well.
Awesome. So trees are one of those things that can provide layers of benefits. Share some of those benefits that people just need to refresh their memories on how a tree can benefit us.
The trees provide windbreaks, they provide shade, they provide great air quality within the community. Obviously, there's the aesthetic beauty that comes along with the trees as well, and erosion control and a lot of other benefits that come along with trees within the community. And so one of the objectives that we're looking to do with this program is to increase the diversity of tree species within the community as well, and just enhance the overall canopy coverage within Iowa City.
So increasing the diversity of tree species, I know that the derecho storm came through and that took out some trees, as well as the emerald ash borer. We had a lot of issues with those trees, and some couldn't be saved and they were removed. And so the hope is one, recently with the removal of some of these trees, that they'll be replaced and enhance our trees throughout our community, which is going to be good. One of the questions I have is related to, you mentioned income eligible households. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because I think I heard about there's a 90% off savings for income eligible households, especially when we're talking about equity, which is a priority for the city.
Yeah, so we have two different options for the tree voucher discount program. The standard one is a 50% off reduction, and so that takes 50% off the cost of a tree, up to a total savings of $125, which would be a $250 tree. After that, everybody's responsible for 100% of the cost beyond that amount. The income eligible option reduces the cost of that tree even further for the purchaser. And that would be 90% off the cost of the tree. So let's say they were to purchase a tree for $250 that had a value of $250. 225 of that would be actually taken off that cost. And so they would only be responsible for $25 of that. Obviously that depends on what the value of the tree is. That's the maximum savings that can be had there, but that's pretty substantial. And so one of the things that we look at for that income eligibility option is we kind of have some of the same components that we look at for Parks and Recreation when we're looking at low income reduction on costs, which takes 50% off programs for recreation, Parks and Recreation programs. And so we look at income. If they're a part of the utility discount program, that makes them eligible for this as well, and some other factors that would go into consideration on whether or not they'd be eligible for that 90% off reduction.
We also have in the scope of the program eligibility for that additional discount if residents are already participating in the utility discount program. Sometimes people aren't aware that we do offer a discount program for eligible households for our water and sewer recycling billing. And so if residents are already participating in that program, that they would also be considered eligible along with what Brad had just described. Identifying ways that people can look at something like a tree. Sometimes the cost is a burden. I mean, for every household, you might look at it and say, gee, is it worth doing? But we're really trying to provide any reason for someone to finally take that step and put a tree in their yard, supporting both their yard and neighborhood surrounding their home, and making it as cost effective as we possibly can do to do that.
So Root for Trees, we've talked about the various benefits. Brad kind of talked about that. And then you just talked about really that income eligible opportunity for individuals and even for the entire community who could apply just to see if they can even get the tree voucher with a 50% off type of savings. But there's another part of this I'm excited about, and it's the climate action part of it, which City Council, of course, passed our climate action plan. And I wonder if Ashley can tell us a little bit more about how this really plays into the program, how it all fits together.
It sure does. We had planned for some type of planting program prior to the derecho. We were under the influence of our emerald ash borer impacts that we've been experiencing, but even prior to that, we had interest in growing our urban forestry canopy, is what we call it. That tree coverage and what percentage of this community that tree coverage covers. It's a benefit to our community. Trees also, in addition to the things that Brad had mentioned as benefits, sequester carbon. So that means that trees, along with other plantings, so prairie is actually a very, very good carbon sequestration tool. And it pulls carbon dioxide out of the air and kind of pulls it down underground and does what trees do with that. They store it outside of the air, which is a benefit for everyone It reduces our carbon emissions within the community. It's an overarching goal of our climate plan to reduce our carbon emissions community-wide by 45% by the year 2030. So we're making great progress in that regard, but planting trees and continuing to protect our tree growth is a very essential part of what we're trying to do. And so the more trees we can get out there, there have been community members calling for programs to plant a huge number of trees. And the trick is being able to make sure you have supply and the manpower to take care of those trees. So we're doing the best we can to incrementally increase our tree canopy. So part of that means that the city is going to do our part in expanding our public tree planting. So the things you think about in our parks and our right of way along the streets, we'll continue to do that and maintaining those. And then we're asking additional private property owners to use this incentive, request the trees, put it in your yard and care for it lovingly, for as long as you're there, because it really does provide climate benefits. We did lose some tree canopy during the derecho storm, and we really only have a count of what the city trees incurred. We also have to think about the damage that's been incurred by private property owners. That's a contributing factor in our loss to that tree canopy, loss of the carbon sequestration, and loss to the other benefits, the shade, the windbreaks that reduce energy bills for each property. So there's a lot of different benefits. People also, when you have a nice shady walk along your street, you might be more inclined to walk that distance or bicycle or move in some other way than taking a vehicle, because it's just more comfortable to travel in a way that's shaded, at least partially, than a street that's got no trees on it and no shade. So there's a lot of different benefits when you talk about climate, and we're trying to kind of cover the gambit of all of those things through this program.
Well, this is really great news when we think about the climate action goals that we will make here in Iowa City. But in order to really maximize the benefits of a tree, it is important that people consider what type of tree and where to plant it. I wonder, Brad, if you can tell us about the guidance the city offers for people to utilize.
Yeah, so on our website, we've put together a packet with some additional information regarding planting care of the tree, and some different recommended or suggested species of trees that people can go out, kind of different trees than what you typically would think of, your maples and oaks. We've got a list of a variety of different trees that are suggested. Not that people have to do that. That's the great thing about this program, is that there's a lot of freedom with being able to pick the type of tree that people would really like to have in their own yard. But we do have a list on there that has probably about 20 different types of species that people can check out. At least it's a starting point, starts that conversation. They can Google some information on that, find out what type of light that tree needs, what growing conditions work best, frequency with watering, some different things for them to consider to find out if that's going to be the right type of tree for them or not.
The other thing, the two nurseries where they can get these trees from, I'm assuming that they'll be able to help them as well.
Yep, absolutely. So our partners, Earl May and Iowa Landscape and Garden Center, are the two nurseries that we're working with for this program. And they have staff on hand that can certainly walk people through any type of situation that they have and find a tree that's going to be best suited for them.
What's the timeline for this program? Start and end. What do we have there?
So we are launching this program, really kind of a soft launch this week. We officially start on October 15th. So we'll be sending out vouchers for applicants just 2 or 3 days before that, but that's when the nurseries will begin accepting those vouchers. And we'll go October 15th through May 15th is the planned validity for the vouchers that we're sending out. So even if people apply right now and they get their voucher, it will actually be valid all the way through next year, through May 15th. And so we're really excited. We sent this out yesterday with a press release, started promoting it on our social media channels, and the applications have already been coming in quickly. We already have over 100 applications, so there definitely is a strong interest for this program in Iowa City. We're seeing
over 100 applications. That is great.
Yes.
That is significant.
That is less than 24 hours right there.
Wow. I'm so happy to hear that. I wanted to offer any other, is there anything else you want people to know out there?
I would say check out our webpage. We have a specific webpage that's dedicated for the Root for Trees program, and they can find that through icgov.org. And once they go to our website, we have all kinds of different information on there that will really kind of guide them through the process. Has the application on there that they can fill out, and we'll be in touch hopefully here soon, probably next week, sending out those vouchers.
Great. Anything from you, Ashley?
Like I said, we're very excited about this program. It's one of the first opportunities we have had or made an opportunity to have our residents get incentives directly for their household. We're continuing to work through like programs that also may have an impact on energy efficiency of properties or other kinds of home and residential improvements. This isn't limited solely to individual residents. If there is a property held by that's a rental permit, and the person who owns that property thinks that they could use a tree in that yard to benefit the renters that are at that property, we also encourage them to participate and get the trees planted for whoever might be living in that property. And again, the website is icgov.org/root4trees. So icgov.org/root4trees. And we really just hope that everybody takes advantage of the program. We're excited to see how this goes this year and see a lot of new trees planted in neighborhoods across Iowa City.
Well, thanks again, both of you, for joining me today. This is a program that a lot of people will be excited to partake in. And I can't wait to see all the new trees in and around Iowa City. So thanks to you both for all the work that you're doing. And Root for Trees will be happy to see how this all plays out. So thanks again, both of you, for joining me today.
Thanks so much, Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor.
That's all for today. I'll be back soon with another episode of Community Connection. Remember, we're in this together. Be safe, Iowa City.